the motorway into a city to stop the protesters turning up. Well, we've kind of cleared that out of the way, and we're going to clear this government policy out of the way too. Yeah. I am a passionate West Country man. I was born in the west of Somerset, where they're proposing to undertake one of these culls. My family home is in North Wiltshire on the borders of Gloucestershire, where the other cull is due to take place. And let us be clear, they do not do this cull in my name. Yeah. Do they do it in yours? No. You're going to have to shout a little louder than that to get that heard in Downing Street. Are they doing it in your name? No. No. And as you just heard from Joe, they're not doing it in the name of the people of this country either. So why is it happening? Well, it's happening because of a cheap little political stunt. A deal done in the back rooms that says, you know something, there's problems on our dairy herd, and there is. And as the chief executive of the RSPCA, I care just as much about the cattle as I do about the badgers. But I say this to our friends in the National Farmers Union. You're doing your members, the farmers of this country, no favours by pressing for this policy. Because you know, the scientists know, and we all know, it simply will not work. And after the slaughter of our wildlife, we will be back again just as they are in Ireland, and noting there's been no reduction in bovine TB. And by the way, if I may steal a line from our friends in advertising, it does what it says on the tin. It's not badger TB, my friends, it's bovine TB, it's cattle TB. It's transmitted from cow to cow, not badger to cow. It's bovine TB, and it needs to be dealt with by dealing with the problem at its source. Now, you're going to hear from a man who's had 35 years experience in this industry in a few minutes' time, Steve Jones, about the truth of what's really going on here. Bovine TB is a nasty disease. Cattle die as a result of it. Not as many, incidentally, as die as a result of going lame and other conditions, but they die as a result of it. But it is transmitted from cow to cow. The badgers, at best, play a minor part in all of this, if they play any real part at all. And who says that? Not just the members of Team Badger, not just the coalition almost unprecedented in the history of the animal welfare movement that has come together today, but the scientists say it. For 10 years, badgers were culled. And in that time, the leading independent scientists under Lord Krebs's banner met and examined what had gone on here. Not in the pay or the pocket of any party or any government. And they came to a simple and stark conclusion. And it is this: that the culling of badgers has no part to play in the reduction of bovine TB. No part to play, say the scientists. And it's time the politicians started to listen. And who else says it? Well, under the pilot proposal, right now, there are licences being issued to teams of marksmen by Natural England. Only a few months ago, a letter was leaked from National England which said what their real opinion was on this matter. And funnily enough, their view is the same, that the killing of badgers will make no significant difference to the transmission of bovine TB. Even the government's own agency, responsible for issuing these licences and starting this cull, their own experts know that in doing that, They are killing the wildlife of this country for no material benefit to the cattle of this country. The scientists know it's wrong. Even the people administering this cull know that it's wrong. And you know something? Even the government know that it's wrong. Because they say this, that should it all work as it's meant to work, then the improvement in TB in our national herd will be 16%. 1/6. Now, you might think, because the government is so committed to this policy, that our national herd, that the dairy cows of this country must be racked with TB. There must be hardly a one that's uninfected. Well, here's the truth of it. TB is present in between 4 and 6% of our national herd. Now, I know they're making GCSE and A-level maths tougher nowadays, but even I can work out that 16% of 6% is 1%. So for slaughtering 70% plus of the badger population, the government itself says that the improvement at best will be 1% of the cows of this country. Well, I say to the ministers of this land, you might be making mathematics and other exams tougher, but you should ask your own selves some serious questions here. How can it make sense to slaughter 70% to improve the lot of 1%? The maths simply don't stack up. So what is the real truth here? Well, in their comments to some journalists, I think a DEFRA press officer has kind of let the cat out of the bag. And as an RSPCA guy, by the way, I'm quite in favour. If you've got cats in bags, I'd rather you let them out of there. You know, it's not a great place for them to be. So here's the truth of it. It is cheaper to kill the badgers than it is to vaccinate them. Here is the dirty little truth of the matter. A political deal done in a back room, and cheaper to save money and to slaughter the badgers. I don't know about you, my friends, but frankly, that isn't a price I'm prepared to pay. Is it one you're prepared to pay? No. Is it one you're prepared to pay? No. No. Will you speak for millions of people in this country? So is there an alternative to what is being proposed? Well, the answer to that is yes. Many parts of the country are already vaccinating their badgers, and that's the country of Wales, just over the River Severn from where we are. The Welsh Government has made the decision that they want to cure rather than kill. They are vaccinating their badgers. A few weeks ago, the team that you are going to see on this stage today met with the leadership of the National Trust, and they are vaccinating their badgers. Good for the Welsh Government, good for the National Trust. Fantastic that they recognise the right thing to do here. But it goes further than that. There are trials already underway inside the European Union for vaccination, not of badgers, but of cattle. That's the real solution here. Vaccinate the cattle against this disease because they pass it from one to another. Introduce the right levels of biosecurity on our farms so infected cows can't go from one herd to another. Treat the disease where it belongs, in the cattle, and leave our badgers alone. Stop the cull is the message ringing loud and clear in Bristol here today. And we're going to take that message and make it louder and further, because as Joe rightly said, This isn't simply about the west of Somerset or the northeast of Gloucestershire. When they undertake these pilot culls, if we let them get away with it, then they're going to examine how effective they have been. And you might think, well, okay, if it has to happen, at least we'll then know whether it made any real difference on bovine TV. But my friends, that isn't what they're examining when they're going to examine how effective their cull has been. What they're going to examine is how efficient they have been, how humane they have been in killing the badgers. Well, we already know the simple realities of this. It isn't possible, no matter how skilled a marksman you are, to ensure that every shot hits the heart every single time. There will be injured, wounded badgers which will drag themselves away. The RSPCA is already gearing up to deal with that. We already know that there are badgers being slaughtered right now under the guise that if the government thinks it's the right thing to do, then maybe it is the right thing to do, even though it is against the law. We need to stop this insanity. Well, the badgers can't do that for themselves. They have no voice. They have no vote. You do. I do. And it's time to make our vote count. It's time to say to those people who rely upon us, whether they're returned to City Hall, County Hall, Westminster, whether they're elected as the first police commissioners for Avon and Somerset or Gloucestershire this November. It's time to say to those people, where do you stand? Are you with us? Are you for the badgers? Or are you in favour of this atrocity? And no weasel words here. Yes or no. Do you support this cull or not? And press them for the answer. And when you hear that answer, to those who say they stand with us to stop the cull, I say, more power to you, and let's put you into power. And to those who say we stand against you and for this slaughter, I say this. We will never forget that, and we will never forgive you the actions you are taking. And when it comes to marking our cross on that ballot paper on that day, it will not be beside your name, because you do not do this in our name. We will not forget and we will not forgive your actions from this day. You have to be the voice of the badgers. You have to be their vote. Yesterday we all celebrated the remarkable achievements, extraordinary achievements of Team GB, and the miraculous, transformational in attitudes and beliefs of the triumph of the human spirit of Team Paralympic GB. The Prime Minister talked about the legacy that he hoped that would leave for our land. Well, I wish him well in that. But we have a legacy already in this land. It is our countryside, it is our wildlife, and we want to keep it that way for ourselves, for our children, and for our grandchildren. So, rah-rah, Team GB. Fantastic Paralympics, Team G. But now, people of Bristol, people of the West, people of this nation, join Team Badger. Raise your voices, raise your votes. Speak up and speak out for the Badgers. Stop the cull. Thank you.